Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having a great day so far, and welcome to today's video where I'm going to be doing my Project Pan finale. Have I hit any pan? Have I hit no pan? Is there pan to be found anywhere around? Another free poem. I am just a gift that keeps on giving. But enough poems, enough poetry. We need to get on with the serious subject of panning. By the way, I have a locket because I cannot stop choking almost to death. So it's this or see me die. Do you want to see me die? So I'm afraid the locket is going to have to join in with this video, and I can only apologise for it. So I started my Project Pan on the 15th of May 2021, a very random date, you might think. And yes, it was. I think I saw someone else doing theirs or doing the end of theirs, or I don't know. Someone was talking about pan somewhere and I didn't want to be left out. I wanted to join in and get involved. Now, you may be thinking, what were you thinking there? What was the thought process? Because I'm not really someone who's suited to a Project Pan. Obviously, I try a lot of makeup, a lot of products, especially having a beauty channel. I'm constantly trying new things, so it's not really conducive to doing well at panning products. But there's a few reasons, a few motivations for doing a Project Pan. One, it's the most satisfying thing on earth, isn't it? Even if you don't care about hitting pan, when you see that pan appear, there's nothing quite like the pride that comes over you with the fact that you've actually used a decent amount of your makeup that you purchased. I wanted that feeling for myself, I wanted that for me. I wanted to feel a sense of achievement. I also had some products, there's a mixture in here. There were some products that I felt like I use so often, I should have hit pan on. I should be hitting pan on them. Then there were products that are really old and I've got a lot of use out of, and I just feel like I just want to hit pan, and then I feel like I can let them go. I used them until they were almost dead, and now they can go to bed. You can't teach this. My conscience can be satisfied that I got the use intended out of that product before it went to makeup heaven. So those were kind of the products that I chose. And let me tell you, it was a learning experience for me. It was a learning curve, some success, some ginormous failure. But without failure, how do we grow? So let's kick things off with the one that you guys probably already know about, and this is the Tom Ford Shade and Illuminate foundation. This is my winter shade, Shell Beige. It is completely gone. This was a full success for me. There is actually even scrapings where you can see where I undid the bottle and try and poured it out. I was leaving it upside down on my palette overnight to try and get some out, but yeah, it's just spitting at me now. It is completely gone, a completely unmitigated success. And I pat myself on the back because it's not easy in this day and age, in this economy, to get through a foundation when you're trying several new ones a month. And this is one that's been around. It's not new and shiny that I'm excited to use it, but it is my holy grail foundation, and I struggle to want to use anything else. Nothing that's come along since this bad boy has knocked it off of its top spot, and therefore it was a joy and a pleasure to use a whole full bottle up, even though I didn't enjoy the repurchasing process. But pros and cons. Big fat tick for Charlotte to start us off with. Now let's look at the other foundations. So there were 3 foundations that I included in my Project Pan. I will say the Tom Ford Shade and Illuminate took me a lot longer to use up than I anticipated. My plan was to to work on that one. When that was used up, I'd go on to the next one, which was the Shiseido Synchro Skin Radiant Lifting. I've been trying to keep these upright so I can see the line. This one, I'm not going to lie to you, it's not panned, it's not used up. It's about here. I don't think you'll be able to see the line on camera, but it's about halfway. And actually halfway is better than you think, because this bottom bit is a lie. There's nothing down there. okay? They lie to us. But it's probably over halfway, which is really good, really decent amount of uses out of a foundation that isn't like my favourite, or probably even like second or third. A lot of foundations came out in the last year that I love. So I'm actually really proud of that and really impressed that I've done so well with this one, because it just took me so long to get through the shade in Illuminate. And then I moved on to using this one all the time and it was too late. I didn't have time. But it's not so bad. It's like, it's not a tick, okay? But it's like a slash. It's a comma, maybe. It's a comma, it's a pause. We're nearly there. I feel like give me another month and it'll be, you know, I'll be having to shake the bottle out. But yeah, I guess that's a fail. Okay, I'll take it. Now this one, the Clé de Peau Radiant Fluid Foundation Natural, the third foundation, this is definitely a fail. I'll say that. I think this is, yeah, you can see the line here is about there, which is probably a third, I'd guess a third, just over a third used. This one was hard. The biggest issue here is this is 35ml fill. So it is a larger bottle than average. And you don't need a lot of this. This is quite a thicker, really quite full coverage foundation. So I literally would use like 1 to 2 pumps of this, whereas the Shiseido I'll probably use like 4, and the same thing with the Tom Ford. This one I use quite a tiny amount, and therefore it was a bit ambitious, to be honest, to put this in here. But still, a third of a bottle, again, in this day and age, it's not bad, but yes, okay, I can't give myself a tick. It's definitely a fail. So for the foundations, we've got one definite tick, one kind of halfway house, and one utter fail. So next up, let's talk about the eyeshadow palettes. So I included 3 eyeshadow palettes, all for different reasons. There were 2 Natasha Denona palettes. No, what? There were 2 ABH palettes that I included, Soft Glam and Norvina. And then I also included Natasha Denona's Biba. So I included the ABH palettes because they were well used and beaten. And I just felt like I never use these anymore. And I just wanted to sort of get to a place of having some pan showing in these palettes, and then I feel like I really got some really good use out of these, and they can either go in the bin or in a drawer somewhere and be a memory, a happy time, a simpler time. But, you know, I basically used them up and I can feel good about that. Whereas Biba was more so about the frequency with which I use this. I reach for this every time I'm doing like everyday natural makeup. This is what I reach for. So I felt like, you know, if I was going to pan a palette in a year that was almost new at the time when I started this, then this was the one that was going to be able to do it, just because it's everyday shades. I get a lot of use out of it. So that was kind of my reasoning behind choosing these 3. So let's see how we did. So Soft Glam, we have 2 pans, everybody. 2 pans. Both are very diddy little pans showing, but they are pans nonetheless. I guess the shades you would expect, Tempera and Burnt Orange, 2 very diddy little pans, but they are there and I'm counting them. You can also see this shade is also very well used, as is actually this shimmer. There's also some pretty big dents in Sienna and Rustic as well. This is a palette that has had a lot of use, a lot of love, but now I feel like I can wish her well, and with a clean conscience that our time is over. Now, Norvina, which was my favourite, or is my favourite ABH palette ever, was like my favourite palette for a long time when this first came out, but then Pat and Natasha came along and just smashed it out the park. But we have, ladies and gentlemen, 3 pans in here. So again, as you might expect, the sort of brow highlighting shade base is one of the pans. Again, as you would expect, the sort of transition shade Incense, big old pan in there, and then Dreamer, which is kind of, I guess, like the inner corner brow arch highlighting shimmer shade, also has pan. I mean, this whole palette is very well used. Lots of big dents in pretty much all of the shimmers and lots of the mattes as well. I'd say both Dazzling and also Summer. Like if I use this for another month and use nothing else, those would also be showing pan. They're definitely like some big dents in here. But again, you know, I've loved Norvina. She's been a big part of my life. And now I feel like we've got pan everywhere and I can tick her off and say, you did your best and now it's time to rest. I don't know why. I don't mean to say poems all the time. They just come out. It's just a gift. Now, as you might expect, Biba was a big fat fail. I'll be honest. I don't even know if I'd say there's any dents in there. And people warned me, you know, you guys told me, these are big pans, okay? So the pans in here are 2.5 grams. And the pans in the ABH palettes are 0.7 of a gram. That probably should have factored into my decision about putting this in here, but I entered in blindly. I didn't have that information when I committed to it. And, you know, I've done my best. It is a well-used, well-loved palette. But as I said, I mean, there's really not even a lot of dents going on in here. So yeah, it's a fail, but I'm not mad at it because I was kind of, you know, ready to get rid of these, whereas this one will be with me forever. So yeah, I'm not mad that there's a lot left in there, to be honest, but yeah, definitely a fail on that one. Hands up, I will take the fail on that. Let's move on to bronzers. So I included 3 bronzers. That's right, 3 bronzers in my project pan, which seems like madness, but hear me out. One of these had like got a fair amount of use before, and another one was kind of on the smaller side. So I just felt like, you know, I could do it. And we've had some success, but we've also had some failure. So, you know, it's balanced. Like with the foundations and with the eyeshadow palettes, actually, what I did is I worked on one bronzer until I got success, and then I moved on to the next one. So I started off with my Charlotte Tilbury bronzer. As you can see, no need to even zoom in. There's a big old pan here. You can even see it from this far away. A big, huge dent and a big bit of pan. It took a lot longer than I was expecting, if I'm honest with you. It's huge, this bronzer, it is, but it is a big pan, so I kind of thought it must be really thin. It's not as thin as you think. But yeah, this took me a lot of work and a very long time. It's my favourite bronzer. Probably is it still? Maybe not. Maybe it's second now to the Victoria Beckham. I'm not sure. They're kind of neck and neck. But yeah, I do use this one a lot. But it still took me a very long time to achieve that pan. So yes, that is a definite success and a definite tick. But it did set me back quite a bit because it took me so long. So the Natasha Denona Tan palette, this was a late entry. I didn't initially include this when I started my project pan, but I quickly was like, do you know, I want to add that into my project pan because like the ABH palettes, this is a product that I've loved and got some use out of, but I wanted to get a little bit more use out of it before I could say, yeah, you know, I really did, like that was well used, well loved. I got a lot of use out of it and I can feel good about, you know, binning it. And again, big old pan. So it was the bronzer that I wanted to pan in here. I don't think I've got much chance of panning the highlighters, to be honest, but it was the bronzer that I felt like I could pan, and it's a big old pan in there, and it's just, you know, every time I use it, it's getting more and more pan in there. So this was again an absolute success. It didn't take me that long. I had used, you know, this a number of times before I started my project pan, but the Charlotte Tilbury took so long. Then this one was quite quick. It was probably, you know, I don't know, a few weeks of use to get the pan just, you know, a little pinprick of light through the powder there. But it did definitely set me back. And I failed on my third, which was the Marc Jacobs Tantalized bronzer. I don't know, these are tricky because you can't really tell when pan, I mean, it's always kind of hard to tell when pan is coming, to be honest, unless it's an eyeshadow and you can kind of see there's a big dent. But these I feel like are especially hard. Like I've hit pan on the lighter shade before and it was like it just came out of nowhere all of a sudden and I wasn't expecting it. So I don't know how long it will be. I feel like I put this video off for like a week or so because I was desperate to hit pan on this. And I feel like it could come any moment, but it's a fail. I didn't achieve it. And I blame Charlotte Tilbury for taking so long, taking up so much of my time. But yeah, that was a fail. But 2 out of 3 bronzes, I'm happy with that. Next up, let's talk about, without a doubt, the biggest failure of this entire project pan. And it's the Mercier Bellini. Now, this was obviously a challenge. I didn't want to make it all easy, okay? What's the point of that? What's the point in putting products in here that I know I'm going to pan in a week's time? I wanted to challenge myself. I wanted to push myself and make it hard. And what's harder to pan than a blush? Especially in this house, the house made of blush. That doesn't sound like it would pass the survey. I have a lot of blushes. I have a lot of Laura Mercier blushes. I have a lot of peachy blushes, and I cannot stop buying more of them. So it was always going to be a challenge. But I did want to see, you know, this was my favourite blush at the time of which I started this project pan. Now, I don't know, it's still number one. It's probably in my top 5 still. But yeah, the thing is, a lot of incredible blushes came out this year. And where at the beginning of Project Pan, this was like the standout, my favourite, now it's like one of many that I love. So yeah, it's an utter fail. I'm nowhere near. It doesn't even really look like there's that much of a dent in it, to be honest. But I have no regrets, because ultimately the reason is that just a lot of other blushes came out this year that I love as much, if not more, than Bellini. And yeah, so that it just had way more competition than I thought it was going to. And yeah, I'm not going to use a blush when I want to use another one just for the sake of hitting pan. That's what I discovered about myself during this process. So next up, let's talk about the one lipstick that I included. And this was really a surprise for me. So the lipstick is Charlotte Tilbury's Nude Romance. When I started this project pan, this was one of the products that I was 100% confident this will be gone in a year's time. I think when I started, I was probably like, I don't know, halfway through the bullet. It was my absolute favorite, like go-to everyday lipstick, my absolute favorite nude lipstick. And I was very confident it's going to be fully gone. I probably have repurchased it by now. And that is not the case. So it is very well used and there isn't much left. I'll say that. It's not exactly, you know, a full lipstick bullet. It's definitely well used, well loved, and well on its way out. But I really thought this was going to be fully gone by now. And the reason is, I just don't love it that much anymore. I don't know what's happened to me. I don't know if maybe this is one that I'll love more in summer. And so maybe that's why. I mean, that's definitely another reason, a contributing factor to why I didn't use all my foundations up, because actually these I can only use in winter. And so, you know, throughout the whole of summer, I wasn't actually using either of these 2 shades. So that kind of sets me back quite a lot, the fact that I have to use different shades in summer and winter. Maybe this suits me more in summer. I just feel like, again, a lot of lipstick formulas came out this year. You know, the Dior Addicts that I'm absolutely obsessed with and can't stop wearing, that I prefer, and also shades that I prefer that weren't around when I started this. And this is all I was kind of wearing most of the time when I started my project pan. That's just not the case anymore. I barely reach for this one anymore, and that's why it just massively slowed down. It started off like, oh, it's going to be gone in, you know, on my check-in, at the halfway check-in. There was a lot of progress initially, but then it just completely stopped and I barely use it anymore. So it's a fail, but yeah, a happy fail, because the reason is that I found lots more lipsticks that I love even more. And now let's finish on a high note, because the biggest pan of all has been saved until last. And it's my Pat McGrath Under Eye setting powder. Do you see the size of that whopper? Do you? That's a whopper of a pan. So this is the light shade. I mean, there's no question about it. That isn't even hitting pan. That's like some other phrase needs to be created here. I've absolutely annihilated it. And not only that, but this is the yellow shade. Do you see the crater that's in there? I'm pretty sure I'm going to hit pan on this one, a second one that wasn't even in my project pan, any day now. So I've not only hit pan on the one that I was in my project pan, I've hit pan on another colour. I mean, if that just doesn't wipe out all of the other fails in this whole project, I don't know what we're doing. But I'm giving myself a double tick for that, okay? That's a double tick. I don't know what that means, but I'll drink to it. So there you have it. That is the conclusion of this project pan. I've learned a lot during this process. I thank you for your support during this time. But my biggest lesson I would say is that Project Pan is not really for me. The negative about it was that I felt like I had to use the products that I'd put in here, and sometimes I just didn't want to. I didn't want to use the Marc Jacobs bronzer. I didn't want to use my ABH palettes. They're not my favourite palettes anymore, and I felt like, it just felt like a chore. It felt very arduous having to like use these eyeshadow palettes that weren't what I wanted to use, that aren't my favourites anymore, that I didn't, want to wear that day just to try and hit pan, and it felt like a chore. Mostly. But I definitely got a bit of a thrill when those first glimpses of pan appeared. So that was fun. And it is kind of nice to like see yourself using products up as a creator. It's just not something we do very often. And so that was nice. There was some positives. I feel like it's just nice moving forwards. I don't plan on doing another one just yet. I want a break from it, to be honest. But what I will say is that I just want to let it happen organically. What I think is more sort of interesting is actually just to see what you use up and what you hit pan on organically without it being like you made yourself use these until they showed pan. I'd like to continue this exploration of pan related business. Just organically, as I said, and just see if, any pan appears in anything. And obviously, I will update you on that. But yeah, I'm not going to force myself again to use products just for the sake of like finding some pan, because it's just not for me, I don't think. I'd love to know if you guys have done a project pan, you're doing one, what you think of them. Do you enjoy it? Do you find it a bit of a chore like me? Please let me know in the comment section. I'm very interested to know how many people do this or did this or joined in with me and how you got on. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'd love to see you in the next one. Otherwise, take care for now. Bye.